the biggest gift that we actually have or we experience in this time is learning. The learning that comes from it is really thinking about what it is that hasn't changed. What is it that we have learned? Or if we have not changed, and if we have not learned and experienced or changed our behaviors, to be honest, this would be considered a crisis. We want to know that we've learned. We want to know that we have changed. So we build our resilience muscle. Let me get that weight out again. I want to continue to make you think about the breakdown and the buildup. We build our resilience muscle when we stand in our circumstances. We kind of take a breath and then we learn to be better for it. So often we learn most from the past and can allow that really to inform where we go and how we respond to what's happening now. So I host a podcast called Leadership with Heart, on which our own Rich Todd has been a guest. And on the show, I interviewed leaders who tend to care more. They show more emotional intelligence in their leadership journey, and they focus on uplifting those they lead. And so during one of my interviews, my guest, who works for a mental health organization, decided to be really vulnerable with me, and she shared her story. Now, Cynthia is her name. She lived in a home where there was substance abuse, there was mental illness, there was domestic violence, there was tons of neglect, and her parents were just kind of a wreck. And it was so much so that she and her brother at some point were removed from the home by Department of Human Services. And she watched her parents struggle and try to figure out how to partner to raise children. And their work fell by the side. And they had lots of periods of instability and unemployment. And now Cynthia could have turned out a lot like her parents, which happens a lot in abusive homes or in homes with neglect. And she could have either abdicated her responsibility or just kind of given up. But instead, from a very early age, her response was to step up and work at home, caring for her brother and at school, making sure he was keeping up, and school with herself, and then working at jobs. So she took a lot on her plate. And while grieving the fact that her parents were not going to be who it is that she needed them to be, she still was able to remain resilient. Now, Cynthia learned to use that struggle and challenge it into the person that she wanted to be, to create kind of a better and higher purpose for herself.